One issue that I'm finding in coaching these days is the lack of creativity in coaching, especially as it relates to practice design. So I speak with coaches, I teach coaching courses, and I work with a lot of aspiring coaches. And, with some it's hard to get them to kind of agree to, some of the changes that I advocate in terms of, practice design. Some people still like their fake fundamentals and they're never going to, get rid of those types of drills. But the vast majority seem to have some appreciation or acknowledgement that some changes are probably needed in their practice design to move, more towards the 21st century to adopt some more of the, constraints-led coaching style, if not a full-on constraints-led coaching style or games-based type of coaching style. So I think most coaches that I speak to are somewhere in between, somewhere going from, a traditional practice approach and moving slowly towards incorporating some game-based drills into their practice and some constraints-led concepts into their practice. So they're not willing to go kind of all the way like I espouse, in books like the 21st Century Basketball Practice, or kind of fake fundamentals. But they want to move in that direction. And then the problem becomes how, and in a lot of ways I think the issue is simply a lack of creativity. So, a coach has spent 5 or 10 years, let's say, coaching. They've done things in predominantly, one style, one type of practice plan where, they do a block drill, block drill, block drill, half scrimmage, maybe shell defense type drill, and then scrimmage. And they've kind of always done it in this way. And so now they're trying to say, okay, well, maybe I can get rid of some of those block drills. Okay, so maybe I don't need to do a 3-man weave anymore, or stationary passing, or stationary ball handling. So I'm going to add in some more random practice instead of these traditional drills that I've always done. How? What drills do I need? So a lot of the questions that I receive then are, well, what drills? How do I do this drill? Instead of being able to take the concept of, okay, I want to employ some randomness into my passing drills. These are kind of the basic constraints of the game in terms of, you're not allowed to travel. If you're going to move, you have to dribble the basketball. Generally there's 10 players on the court, you're going in a certain direction. So these are the constraints of the game that aren't going to change. How can I create a drill? How can I be creative and use these ideas and create my own drill to practice passing or to practice a certain aspect of passing that I want to focus on in this practice or in this drill. And so I think it's just this getting away from the basketball mentality and how we do things in basketball, and that change is difficult because we're so entrenched in the way that we believe things. It's hard to get creative and get quote unquote outside the box. And I think this is why a lot of the drills that I've used and developed over the years that would be more towards the constraints-based or game-based learning is I got them from different sports. A lot of my advantage passing drills that I use, which I will link below, I stole from watching soccer practices. Something like Long Island passing, which is a very simple and slightly random passing drill. I got that from Long Island University soccer coach, TJ Kostecki, when I watched his practice back in 2006 or 2007, and I've used it ever since. So I think it's easier to look towards other sports to see things that then you can bring back to basketball and find a way to use creativity in that way. So you're just repurposing a drill from a different sport into basketball. And I think that's often the easier transition than trying to take a basketball drill and then make it, use your creativity to make it more random, or more variable to incorporate more skills or more versions of a skill. And so I think that's kind of the first step is, take whatever drills you can find from soccer, rugby, hockey, other invasion games are typically going to provide the best, transfer. But by all means, don't stop with invasion games. Volleyball, tennis. I'm sure there's drills that are used in these sports, especially if you have a background in that sport, that you can transfer in and come up with a new way to do, a basketball skill, or to train a basketball skill. And then as the coach gets more comfortable and starts to develop creativity in that way, then we can look at specific basketball drills and how can we simply make those more competitive, incorporate more of the constraints that are there in the game, or simply just make them better and better training tools for players in our practice situations. But I think it starts initially with just trying to get a little bit more creative and think a little bit beyond the narrow number of drills that we're typically using, and just allow ourselves to be open-minded and draw from different resources, and not be afraid to try out different things. And maybe it doesn't work, it ends up being a terrible drill, and you just don't do it anymore. I've had that happen. I've been in the middle of a camp and set up a drill, and it just didn't go as well as I'd hoped, and all right, let's move on. And the player's like, but we didn't, yep, bad idea. Let's just move to the next thing and forget we ever tried that. It happens. Not everything that you're going to think up or try the first time is going to work out. You're going to have to try something, and maybe it works, maybe it kind of works. You need to tweak it a little bit, and then eventually you come up with a drill that you can use, in different situations for different purposes. So again, it's not a matter of just sticking to the same drills. It's using some creativity, tweaking things, kind of going through the iteration process of creating something from new, or from taking something from a different sport and changing it up to create a new drill for your basketball practices.